is basically for a class that I'm doing, and the goal is to have budding entrepreneurs learn from successful entrepreneurs, to learn what you did, why you did what you did, how you came to the decision to open a business, and those kinds of things that the startup phase and through to today. So basically, I'm just going to ask you some questions, and the questions are not standard. I follow up with some, by your answers. So to start, I'd like you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your background.
Hi, Mr. Zama. Thanks for coming. Welcome to my home. My name is Dr Mekai Vekima. I'm an MD. I'm married with 4 children.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about your background growing up?
Well, I was born in Africa. I was born in Cameroon, West Africa, and my background wasn't very exciting. I had some rough roads as a child growing up in Cameroon. Part of the reason was that my mother was not in the country. My mother was overseas at that time, so I lived with my aunt. So my childhood was very traumatic, I shall say. As a result, I was very ambitious just to make sure that I have a better adulthood. And so, of course, that motivated me to become a physician. But also, I think what influenced me the most to become who I am today is the accident that I sustained in 1980. I was involved in a motorcycle accident, of course, and I was severely injured. I was taken to a hospital where I stayed. I was a patient for about 11 months, 26 days. And at that time, I had some wonderful physicians who took care of me. And I think that really motivated me a lot because they did not give up on me. They took very good care of me. At one point, I needed an operation. In fact, one of the physicians had to donate blood, and that's what prepped me for that surgery. So I think all those things affected me in a positive way, wanting to be a doctor. And of course, eventually I did make it to America. So here we are today.
Did anybody, I know you said you had experiences that channeled your energies towards becoming a doctor. Did any of those physicians talk to you about becoming a doctor?
No, I mean, you have to understand at that time I was 12 years old when I had my accident, and then I would say I was 13 years old when I finally made it to the hospital, and I stayed there for almost a year. So no, we never had conversations as such, but just looking at the way, seeing how they were caring for patients and not making hasty decisions, not giving up, that encouraged me to pursue this line of my career, I guess.
That's great. Now, this exercise is about successful entrepreneurs. Yes, you became a doctor. What made you want to become entrepreneur? What was the spark?
Well, The reason really why I wanted to become an entrepreneur was so that I can have some control of my life. Okay. Um, I am someone who does not like stress. I like to be happy. I'm a very humble person. But I also know that in life, working for someone can be very challenging. Just because people have different personalities, for bad or for worse, for good. People just are different. And because I was also starting a family, I wanted to do something that I had some control of my time. I can take off when I want to. When a child gets sick, I can maybe take my child to my office and put them in a room while I see patients, things like that. Otherwise, I won't be able to do that if I were working for somebody else. And so that was the biggest motivator, you know, being able to have that flexibility. It is a lot of hard work, obviously, because you are it, I am it. I have to work but I enjoy doing that.
Sometimes, say, entrepreneurs get this burst of energy or inspiration. Was there a point that you can remember that, or what they call the aha moment? Was there a moment like that that made you think, this is it, I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do?
Well, no, for me, not really. I've not had the aha moment, like you put it. Um, it's something that when when I did go to medical school, my goal was someday have my own clinic where I see my patients and have a relationship with my patients. That's been always my goal. So even while I was in med school, I always used to envision that, I would dream about it, having my own clinic, have patients come, so that we have a relationship for life until we both, depart from this world, I guess. So, and of course, I became even more convinced when my last year of residency, I was offered a job, and then later on, months later, when we were about to graduate, I found out that I did not have that job. In other words, the job was taken from me and given to somebody else without me being told. So that moment made it clear to me that, wow, I have to have something of my own so that this cannot repeat itself. And so that's how I ended up starting my own practice.
And how did you start? What were the steps that you took to prepare yourself for the business and the starting point?
Well, after residency, I did work as a hospitalist for 3 years, and I was able to save up money. Okay, and I was going to partner with another physician. That didn't go so well. So of course, the day that we decided that it was not going to work, I remember driving like a mad woman all over Ypsilanti and Belleville looking for an office space because I was so ready to open my own practice. And eventually I did find a place which was not constructed yet. It was just a landfill, I guess. And when I called the contractor, who promised me that if I signed up, he'll be available within 6 months. Of course, that took almost 2. So when I met the contractor, who said that if I could sign the contract, then that they would build this building and I would be ready to move in 6 months. Of course, that was not the case. It took almost 2 years. But in the process, though, I continued to work and I saved up money. Um, and I did my research in terms of my location and how I was going to market myself. So I had things on the works. In fact, before I opened up, I had a phone number for my practice, even though there was no building, and patients were calling and making appointments to knowing that we're going to be open up in a few months and and I think that helped a lot. Um, of course, starting a new business, it takes some time, because once we eventually opened up, boy, it did not go as planned as I thought it would. The first 2 weeks, because I had patients lined up, it was great. But of course, those patients got depleted, and it took some time. There were actually days that my office manager and my nurse would sit in the office and the phone would ring probably once or twice, But I never lost courage. I knew that it was going to work. It was just a matter of time. And it has proven so. I think that the most difficult thing about running a practice or a business is the money, because sometimes you run out of money. And being that I did not want any loans, I think that made it very difficult for me. But I worked hard. I still had my hospital job, so I was supplementing the office, and but eventually it paid off.
How many hours would you say you worked at building your business initially?
A lot of hours. I cannot even begin to tell you. A lot of hours. There was a time that when I left my house in the morning, I would say about 5:30. I will not come back home for probably until 10 p.m., sometimes midnight. That's how hard I worked. It's a lot of hard work. Sometimes I did not see my family. I remember one time my daughter, Patricia, said to me, Mom, I have not seen you in 3 days. And just because I would leave very early and come very late when she's asleep. So I put in a lot of hours. And I'm still putting in hours. Lots of hours. But it has improved overall. And things, I think, got better when I was able to hire, a physician to help me. So I do not, I don't put a lot of hours like I did in the past, but I'm still well over 60 hours a week.
I heard you say you worked and saved and you didn't want any loans.
Mm-hmm.
What was the reason behind that?
I don't like debt. I don't like to owe someone or a bank. That's one. And two, of course, is the interest that you pay with those loans. A while back, I figured out that if you can afford to pay for something, it's better that you pay for that thing with your own money, because if you were to take a loan or finance whatever you were going to do, you end up paying probably 1.5 times or twice the amount of money that you owe, and that's a lot of money. And so I try to avoid it, if I can. So that's why I did not take any loans.
So frugality is the name of the game then.
Mm-hmm.
Now you must have set goals when you started.
Mm-hmm.
When did you meet your first milestone?
Um, my first milestone was when I actually got a paycheck. That's funny. Um,
Paycheck from your practice, you mean?
from my practice, correct. Um, while I was working, of course, everybody was being paid, but I was not getting paid. In fact, I was robbing from Peter and paying Paul. Like I said, I had another job, so what I would make from that job was what I would bring into the practice to pay the overhead, the rents and the malpractice and what have you. And it was probably, I would say, a good year, maybe 8 months to a year, that my accountant came and was going through the books this particular time and said to me, you can put yourself on a payroll. And I said to him, you think? He said, yeah, I think you're making enough that you can actually put yourself on a payroll. And not once did it occur to me. So I was very happy when I did that. I actually got paid. One of the difficult things that I came to understand was that even though you put this capital in a business, it's hard to get that capital back. Because this is a business. Granted that I own the business, but I'm also an employee of that business. So I was hoping that all the money that I invested, like building, the construction, and especially the construction, I thought I was going to get that money back, but I don't think I'll ever have that money back. But that's okay. Yeah.
And how long was that before you got to that milestone from inception, from when you started?
I would say about 9 months to a year.
Okay.
Yeah. Initially, I was told, 3 months. That's not true. It takes a while. It really does take a while,
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it was important that I had that other job to supplement what I was doing. Yeah.
Most entrepreneurs get inspired to see some opportunity and they jump right in.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you talk about doing your business plan.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do that yourself? Did you have some help doing the business plan?
Oh, I no, I did not do that myself. My husband actually was a key player. He did do a business plan, and he helped quite a bit. In fact, he helped design the office space, and he was able to put the ceiling on the ceiling.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I did have help. My husband helped me quite a bit.
So what are the things that a startup entrepreneur should do? What are things that they should take into consideration before taking the leap into any opportunity that comes their way?
Well, I think that for any entrepreneur to start a business, they have to do a lot of homework. First of all, they have to be sure what they want to do. Okay. And they have to know a lot about what they want to do, the pros and the cons. They have to make sure that they have some capital to sustain them for a couple of months. And also location. So again, in my case is different because starting up a practice, I had to look for a good location, and my location is very prime. I have a great location. So not everything that you do, you need a good location, but I think that also, for most people, location is important, so that you can.
Okay. Let's start with location again. Your location. You're talking about location and how you found your location to be prime.
Yeah. Yeah, so location is, it's a very important factor also to get a business started. Um, Especially if it's a medical, a business like mine, or maybe even you want to have a store like Myers or Walmart or whatever, location is very important. So I would say the three things: you got to do your research. You have to really know what you want to do. You have to look and see who has done what you've done, what you're trying to do. Maybe even call and talk to them. Maybe they might give you some insights. um, Having the capital, some capital. You would never have all the capital, but at least have some for a couple of months, to hold you until things start rolling, and of course location. And then another thing that's very important: getting good employees. Very very important. And I think that when people walk through your door looking for jobs, um, it's hard to tell whether they are going to be good employees or not. But I think that the way you treat them also will make them better employees than what you know. Because sometimes when people come, they probably just passing, like I'll do this till my next job comes. But then when you treat them right, if you're a good employer, you respect them, you give them benefits, health care, 401k if you can afford it, you know, then they realize that they can actually become a member of that a family, or, maybe a family of that business, a member, long term.
What would you say was the most important thing or aspect of your business? Most important triumphant moment. I know you talked about your receiving a check. Was that the most triumphant moment?
Well, no, I think that there are many. Let me tell you what I get. What gives me great satisfaction is that when I see patients and they come and they have a problem. When they come into the office, they're nervous, they're scared, But by the time they leave, they feel comfortable. They understand we've talked and they relax. And then when I do follow up with them on their next visit and they're feeling better, to me, that's what's most important. I feel really good, like I've accomplished something, you know? And, uh, and also when they tell me, well, they've been very satisfied with the care they're getting, and so they're going to bring their loved ones, like husband, daughters and sons, and grandchildren. So to me, that's more self-fulfilling.
Okay. That's from the practice side.
From the practice side.
What about the entrepreneur side?
Well, it's just having control. I mean, having control. Like for instance, today I was working, but I decided that I'll make it a short day. So things like that, just having control. Having control. Um,
What um, what would you say are the most important qualities of an entrepreneur? Or what qualities should an entrepreneur have to become successful?
well, I think that's relative, depending on what you're doing.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. What about you? What is
For
the
me, it's a combination of everything. If you think about it, I opened my practice. I started seeing patients. Because patients are happy, the practice has grown. So it's more like the word of mouth. If you come and see me, you tell the next person. So how does that lead to that leads to success? But how did I get to that point? I think it's just being who I am. Listening to my patients. When they talk, they're not just a number. When they come in, I sit, I talk to them, I don't only ask them about, their medical issues. I get to know them, what their home situation is, family, are they happy? Is there something going on? Things like that. So you build up that relationship. So I think that has made me successful because I'm that way with my patients. As a result, my practice has grown. You see? So that's why I said it's relative. So that's one. And of course, working very hard, long hours, and I don't know.
Okay, that's that's good enough. Um,
And looking for opportunities too.
okay.
You look for multiple opportunities because I don't only have my practice in the clinic. I also go to subacute rehabs. So I'm very diversified. And I'm soon having an urgent care. And so I do everything. There are many venues where I get my business.
Okay.
So you have to be. The layman's term is you don't put your eggs in one basket, right? All your eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm diversified so that if one aspect of my practice is not doing so well, this other, the other one is sort of supplemented. So I think that if you are an entrepreneur, you should do something like that.
It is often said that to be successful, it's often who you know and not what you know that counts. Do you find that to be the case in
Not
your
for me.
business? Okay.
It's not who you know. It's, I think that people who go through that path, they usually don't last long because who they know may not be there forever. So once that person,
Departs,
yeah, then they have problems.
Well, in the sense that not really supporting them through, but opening the door.
Well, for me now, everything I've done, of course, with God's grace, but it's not whom, who I knew to get to the point where I am today. I think that, my story is somewhat, I think it's unique, maybe not, but to me, where I am today, sometimes I don't believe that I'm here, because, just because of my struggles and, where I went to school, but I was, I studied hard, I was able to pass my boards well, I got into a good residency program, and, so all those things, but I think it was because I worked hard. I didn't know anyone to say, well, you know what, you can get into this school or I'll take you into this residency program. You know what I mean? I went, I interviewed, and I got accepted. I had good scores, so of course that propelled me. So.
Are there any questions that, or anything, is there anything that you would want to add? Keeping in mind, we're talking to budding entrepreneurs, people who want to become entrepreneurs. Is there anything that you would want to address to them?
Well, I think that oftentimes people, I think that oftentimes people try to open businesses without really doing their homework. I think that for you to be an entrepreneur, you have to really sit and find something that you really like, something that you know you can be good at, okay, and then pursue it. I think if you do it like that, it will work out most of the time,
Okay, let's start with finding what you really like. Please.
I think that for you to be an entrepreneur, you have to really find what you really are good at. You have to find your passion and then make big of it, you know, or good of it. I think that sometimes people go into businesses because they know somebody who is in that same business and they think that they can do it. And oftentimes it doesn't work out that way. You know, just because Paul is doing this business doesn't mean that when you do it, it's going to work. I mean, that was Paul's passion, not your passion. You see what I'm saying? So I think you really have to find something that, you know, this is it. I really want to do this. And if you find that particular thing that you know you're good at, then you can work hard at it, do your research, and it's going to work out. And don't give up. And I think anyone can do it. Whatever, you know, they put their mind to.
Okay. I'm just curious, how has this downturn in the economy affected you? Has it affected you in any way?
Well, personally, no. And let me tell you why. I do have physician friends of mine who are struggling right now. Some of them have actually closed their practices. But for me, it didn't really affect me. At least I didn't notice it much. And I think part of it is because, for one, my location where I am. Two, I'm diversified. In other words, I do different things. So as a result, it doesn't really show, you know. So I'm doing okay.
Is there anything else, question that you think I should have asked that I didn't?
No, I think you asked everything. I can't think of anything that I can add. Just, you know, that you just have to work hard and, you know, and do your research and go for it. And don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been told that you can't do it, you can't do it, you cannot. But you know what? I think that when you have the will, there's always a way.
On that note, I want to thank you very much for taking the time for this and wish you the best. Continued success.
Thank you.